the one and only Kristyn Burtt with us now. What's going on, Kristyn? How you been?
So busy. How are you?
Busy, but not as busy as you probably.
Yeah, I'm like we're in the final week leading up to the Oscars, so it's just one of those like almost at the finish line. I can take a long nap after.
Are you sure about that? Do you think that's really going to happen?
You know what? I will be able to at least have a day of like I'm going to go and get a massage, and I'm going to like take care of myself. And I mean, I'm pretty good at pacing myself now. Like I know not to like go out with all of my friends and party these weeks. These are the weeks that I like finish my work and then I go straight home. That's how you stay healthy. Otherwise, you'll get the flu and you'll get really sick and it's miserable. So,
now that's the thing too. Like this whole flu thing going on. Are like people doing, because we see it more and more in airports. I think you even said you did it with the mask, the surgical mask.
Yeah, I traveled twice during this flu season to Michigan and to Chicago, and I wore medical masks both times. And I would do it again. As foolish as I felt, knock on wood, so far I've been good when it comes to avoiding the flu. And I do, and you know, I always get sick after long plane rides, so I think that it definitely helps.
Yeah, it's. I think I even said like we thought my daughter had it, and she was at the doctors, and they put a mask on her instantly. And actually, this afternoon was funny. The girl that cuts my hair and my family's hair, we were supposed to go over there earlier today to get haircuts, and she sent me a thing. She's like, I'm at the doctor's office, and she sent me a picture of herself with the mask on. She's like, I don't think it's a good day. I'm like, yeah, nah. See you next week.
Yeah, not interested. Well, and here's the other interesting thing, too. And, I mean, if you're starting to read all the flu articles, which I did because I was like, how can I best protect myself? They're basically saying you can get it from just breathing the same air with someone who has the flu. It's not like, oh, they sneeze on you or, you know, you touch a door handle that has the germ and you touch your face. It's you're breathing the same air, you're probably going to get it. And especially when it comes to recirculated air on airplanes, like it's so tough to avoid. So, and you know, I really do feel silly, but the Asians have done it for, decades? We've all seen them on airplanes. They know what they're doing. They're smart.
You know, it's funny because there was actually a news story on our local news earlier, you know, about shaking hands. And how so many germs are, you know, passed back and forth between people. And you really shouldn't shake hands. And like, I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is actually a news story now. And then it was like, you know, the big thing people do now is the fist bump. Well, they're like, even with the fist bump, and it was like 10% of your hand, you're still having a 10% chance of getting the flu through a fist bump. It's like, really? Like, okay.
Oh, man. What about like an elbow bump? I do that with people when I'm sick. But this is what I get. This is what frustrates me, and this happens more times than you would think. And I'm sure it's happened to some of you guys, where someone is ill. They shake your hand already, and they're like, "Oh, I've been battling a cold or the flu." And I'm like, "Why did you just shake my hand?" Because when I'm sick, I honestly say, "You know what? I'm just letting you know I'm either getting over a cold or I'm feeling a little run down. I'm not going to shake your hand just out of courtesy." And I'll let them know up front. And I've had people like shake my hand or hug me, and then they're like, "Yeah, I'm coming down with something." And I'm like, "Really? Why did you just hug me?" And then I go home and I like shower. I throw all my clothes in the laundry. It's just like, please have some consideration for my health as well. Stay home.
Funny. I'll tell you, the first person that really like pointed at the whole handshaking thing to me was Jesse Ventura at a book signing. Like I got my book. Yeah, I got my book signed by him, and I went to shake his hand, and he was like real abrupt. He was like, "Nope." I'm like, "Huh?" He was just like, he goes, "I don't know where have you been. I don't know if you're sick. I don't know what germs you have. You shake my hand, I'm going to shake the next one's hand," and so on and so on. He goes, "And it just leads to a mess." He's like, "It's not worth it. Thank you." I'm like, wow. And it's like really opened my mind.
Yeah, I mean, what if there are 300 people in line? You're touching 300 germs, and I mean, I get it. And there's been, you know, we know that there's been plenty of celebrities who are germaphobes, and I'm like, I kind of don't blame them on all of that. I even don't like it on red carpets. You do wind up shaking a lot of hands. I'd prefer not to, honestly, and I have hand sanitizer, but like the second I can, I run into the restroom and wash my hands because that's, of course, we know the best way to get rid of all those germs.
You know who's notorious for that too? We always see at the Comic-Cons. Lou Ferrigno. For years, and I used to laugh about
Howie
it.
Mandel is another one. He's very OCD about it, but yeah. Donald Trump is actually known to be someone that doesn't enjoy shaking hands too. He avoided it. You can't really avoid it as president, but as a businessman, he tried to avoid it as much as possible.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, at president, it's really hard to avoid the handshake. I get it, but I'm sure there's some poor aide that has to carry around the bottle of hand sanitizer.
So what stories you got for us this week?
Well, I just came off of the Voice. I just saw the premiere, which you guys will see on Monday. Kelly Clarkson has joined the panel, and I've got to tell you, season 14 and Kelly Clarkson are the reason to watch. She is fantastic. I haven't watched the show in many seasons. I still love the way they do the blind auditions. But her one-liners and the way she just kind of like nails it to Adam and to Blac, she is a genius find for that panel. And I think what's super interesting is that, remember, she was the very first winner of American Idol, and they don't shy away from it. They don't mention the name American Idol, but she's always like, I was a contestant on another show. I had an experience on a competition show. Like, it is referred to without being referred to by name. And they are just sticking it right to American Idol.
Do you think, like, after they see, like, what you're saying, how great this is going to be, like, do you think after week one, like, American Idol is, like, kicking themselves in the ass? Like, why did we not talk to Kelly?
They did talk to Kelly. They tried together, and Kelly went to The Voice.
Ooh.
And and we had a Q&A with the executive producer, Audrey Morrissey, and she said, you know, we'd put the offer out, and then the American Idol offer came out, and she goes, we basically just kind of like sat on our hands, just waiting by the phone for her answer. And she's like, we were so pleased with her response, of course, because they basically won. But she's like, you know, you have to remember that she was a mentor on Blac's team. She's been around since season 2. She's been familiar to the show. She knows the inner workings. She has performed on the show as well. And that was the vibe that she wanted. And I think, you know, you have to understand there's a reason Jennifer Lopez didn't come back, you know, for American Idol. I mean, she's now, of course, got World of Dance on NBC. But, you know, there's a reason Steven Tyler didn't come back. There's a reason you know, some of these people just didn't walk right back and waltz on into the studio again. I think that a lot of people feel like it had its time. It needs a little bit longer of a rest, and then maybe it can come back. And I still feel that way. I've been talking to a lot of people about it, and I cannot find anyone who is excited. I did get ABC just emailed me saying that there is a screener copy of the very first audition episode available. So I think I'm going to email them just to see if I can, you know, watch it, kind of get a feel for it, because I just don't care, honestly. But I feel like I should give it a chance and watch the screener, right?
Right. Yeah. That's the thing. Like I wonder, you know, are they going to like shake things up and like do drastic changes to it, or are they going to keep it kind of the same way? Like, either way, they could be damned if they do.
Yeah, and I think, you know, what's interesting is that The Voice shook it up just a little bit this season. They have a new block button that can only be used once by each judge, but they can block during the blind auditions. They can block another judge's choice for trying to get someone on their team. So there was this great country, this little spoiler, and I won't say who it was, but there's a great country contestant. Everybody wants this person, and one of the judges blocks Blac because they don't want Blac to get the country contestant on their team because they think this person's fantastic. So I think it's really interesting because, you know, here's the thing. When it comes to competition shows, you don't want to reinvent the wheel, but you want to keep the wheel fresh. You know what I mean?
Right,
so they're doing a great thing by keeping the whole concept interesting and the same and familiar to audiences, but hey, you bring in a new judge, hey, you add one tiny little element, and that keeps everyone on their toes.
You know, it's funny because I know a guy who went and actually, I was shocked when he actually put this out there that he went and auditioned for The Voice, and he's more of a rocker, metalhead type guy, and great voice and all, but he's an older guy. He's probably in his mid to late 30s. And right away, I think to myself, like, even if they like him, they're not going to like him because of his age. And that's exactly what happened. They loved his voice, but they just said, we're not really, going to go in your direction. It's like, it's such a shame because they really just try to go for that younger crowd of singers.
Yeah, and I will say that there are some singers that were chosen that were 33 this year, and I don't want to spoil too much on Monday, and then there's a contestant that's 14. So it's a really wide span, which is interesting. I do think that it's probably harder to be in your late 30s versus early 30s, unless you have that unique voice where people are like, holy cow, this is amazing. And this is so unique. I know what I can do with this. And I think that was what was really interesting to me, was being able to see that each judge, like sometimes they'd be a really amazing singer, but you would see Alicia Keys and you could be like, she thought that they were great, but she was like, I can't do anything with this person. When then Kelly Clarkson was like, I know exactly what to do with this person. And that's what I think is interesting about The Voice, because it is true. Like, if you're a coach or something, even on like a baseball team, you might not be able to hone someone's particular skills as an athlete, where another coach is like, I see exactly what they need and where I need to take them. I need them on my team.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
It's going to be really interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. Kelly Clarkson got me really excited. And here's the other really funny thing: they gave us, in the morning they had coffee and everything else, and they're like, "Which judge are you?" And I was like, "Oh, Kelly Clarkson," just for fun. And then all of a sudden they hand me my coffee, and it was Kelly Clarkson's face in my foam.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so they did that for everyone, if you were Team Blac or whatever. I was like, that's amazing.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, I love what they can do these days, like little promotional things. And of course, when they do something like that, all of us are, Instagram storing it and putting it on Twitter and everything else. So they know. They know what they're doing at NBC.
Absolutely. Smart. It's very smart.
So smart. So smart. And I think, people are genuinely going to be excited by Kelly. So I was glad, you just never, ever know with people like that. Like, you're like, do people care if it's Kelly? And I was like, oh, Kelly's bringing it big time.
I'll tell you what, I've been a huge Kelly Clarkson fan. Like, I've gone out and bought her albums, and I've loved her music. So and I think she's just amazing. So I'm actually excited by this.
I love that she is authentically who she is. She's gotten a lot of crap for some of the weight she's gained over the years, and she's never sort of just gone, fine, I'm going to go and I'm going to be anorexic skinny because the industry, that's the way they want me, or they think I'm supposed to, be like this or anything else. She's like, this is who I am. I'm comfortable in my skin. I have an amazing family. I'm a great singer. She knows all of this. And she carries it off without being obnoxious or cocky or anything else. And I think she's got a lot to offer other women who are facing some of those challenges when it comes to body shaming and stuff like that. And I think that is really, really important. And it's important for younger artists, and it's important for artists who are established as well.
Yeah, I mean, she's
and
just
she looks great.
Yeah, she's just, I mean, not only a great talent, but a great role model, too. So, I mean, it's a win-win for The Voice.
Absolutely. And I was like, we need all of these badasses like speaking up and going out there and showing people how it's done in a true, genuine way. And I think that is what brings to authenticity is one of my favorite things to look for in a person. And I feel like I've probably whittled down even like my friendship circle. But I feel like I have a genuine, like authentic group of people that are going to tell me the good things that I'm doing, but are also going to be like, hey, you know what? This isn't you, or this isn't, watch it, or hey, cool it, because that's what I want to hear, because I want to be authentically me. And so I like that when I see it in celebrities who are out there and, so many people look up to them and things like that.
Right. Well, we started off with a good news story. So, do we keep the streak going?
I don't know. Here's we might as well. Just a couple things that I think are kind of interesting. Since we do talk a lot about Dancing with the Stars, remember, All Athlete Edition is happening, of course, in the spring. It doesn't start till April 30th. It's only 4 weeks. It's short. But I had something really interesting happened this week that I'm leading. But for people that follow me, they knew exactly what I was talking about, so it wasn't misleading to them. But I said, I'm casting the All Olympian edition of Dancing with the Stars. Give me Gus Kenworthy. He's one of our freestyle skiers. I think he's fantastic. He's hilarious. He's a lot of fun, and he's one of the openly gay athletes that's out there. And Dancing with the Stars has kind of shied away from sort of any sort of gay personality. There's been a couple, but very, very few. So I appreciate this, and I think it's something that they need to add. Well, anyone that knows me knows that I cover Dancing with the Stars, that I'm not casting Dancing with the Stars. I was just casting it in my head for fun, okay? It was just kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. I get an email from South Korea. Yeah. From his agent, legit agent. I went and looked this up because I was like, what? And they're like, hi, Gus has been wanting to be on the show for years. We're totally interested. Then, not more than 30 minutes later, I get another email from his publicist, one of the major firms here in LA, and I totally knew this was legit. And they're like, hey, we're in. We're totally in. And I was like, what? So I was like, oh, my God, they totally took. And I was like, I didn't want to be like, you didn't get my joke, people, or you didn't read my bio. So I emailed them both back from my work email because they hit up one of my public personal emails, which is fine. And I was like, just so you know, I cover the show. I think he's fantastic. I'm happy to put the word out and put the word in for you in any sort of way. This person is who the casting person is. Do you have their info? If not, I will discreetly pass it to you because I think Gus would be a great person on the show. And they were like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. And and they were like, please get the word out to Dance with the Stars fans if he really wants to be on the show. Isn't that amazing?
That's wild.
I got the email, and literally his agent / manager was like, I am in South Korea until Sunday. You can reach me back in the States this time around, but I'm checking email while I'm here in South Korea. I was like, holy cow.
Did you get scared or nervous initially? Oh shit, oh no.
Well, I just didn't want to mislead them. I wanted to be honest. And I didn't want them to also feel foolish. Do you know what I mean? Because they don't know me, and my followers know me, and they know that I'm not casting the show. So I just wanted to be like, let me try and be as helpful as possible. And that's how I just pitched it. I was like, you know what? We love Gus. The fans love Gus. The reaction's been great. Here's who the casting person is. Let's try and see how we can make this happen. And, kind of above board and not being like, dude, you just didn't read my email right or my tweet right. Because no one wants to talk to that person. You know what I mean?
That's wild.
So, and I just said, thank you for reaching out. If he's on the show, we'd love to do a feature on him. And they were like, absolutely, we'll make that happen. So I feel like me trying to help them, they'll try and help me if he winds up on the show.
Sure.
It's such a funny little situation,
But that shows you two things right there. It shows you, A, the power of social media, and B, like this skier, he's already, and I'm sure a lot of the other ones are already looking ahead now where they can take this Olympic platform and turn it into their next career, because maybe they might not go back to the Olympics in 4 years.
Absolutely. And, here's the other thing. If they are going to stay competitive for Winter Olympics and in their sport, they cannot do the fall season of Dancing with the Stars. So this is their time to cash in on it with this All Athletes edition, because when we roll around to the fall, a lot of times World Cup skiing or any of the skating events, they start up in September, October. So it's not a good time for them to do Dancing with the Stars. The spring season is it. And they know that they also need to cash in on that momentum from the Olympics and everything else. And that's how you do it. And that's how you keep your sponsors happy and keep your name in the press. And I certainly don't blame them. And I think I think it's very smart of ABC to be doing this all athletes version. Originally I was like, I don't know about this. But since they blew the budget on American Idol and they're only doing this small spin-off and this truncated season of Dancing with the Stars, I think it's actually genius of them to do the all-athlete version. I've got to be honest, I kind of wish it was all-Olympian version because I think that really levels out the playing field with all of these elite athletes. I'm kind of tired of just like always football players coming on the show. But they can't use the word Olympic and they can't use the word Olympian because that belongs to the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. So maybe all athlete is where they need to stay safe, if that makes any sense. So,
I can't wait for
but super interesting. You what?
I can't wait for them to start announcing who's going to be on.
Me either. And, and I do think that we're going to see more than one figure skater on. I think we've seen Adam Rippon do very well. Even though he didn't medal, his personality is big and broad and bold. You also have someone like Mirai Nagasu, who's skating tonight. She was someone that said, hey, I want Mark Ballas. Like, she's already named who she wants. You've got the Shib Sibs, who I know their agent, and their agent is, like, dialed into Dancing with the Stars. So I've got to imagine that she probably already signed him up. She had Meryl Davis and Charlie White back in the day. She has put many, Christy Yamaguchi, she's put many of her talent on the show already. So they do use as many Olympians as they can because I do think when you are an Olympian, it is just, especially when for some of these sports, like eyeballs are only on these sports sometimes every 4 years. And these people are at the top level of their game, top level of fitness. It's not like the retired football player who's still fit, but he's not like the Super Bowl MVP that he was.
Well, that leads me to ask, too, with the whole Olympics thing, the picture that was tweeted out, I guess it was tweeted out the other day or popped out the other day, wherever it was, Shawn White and Miley Cyrus. Now, are they a couple? I mean, 'cause it looked like a cozy picture.
Yeah, they look. Miley is very flirtatious, but Miley is engaged to Liam Hemsworth, so there is no danger in her engagement being, sort of ended by Shawn White. We will put that there. She's very flirtatious. She's very affectionate. She's very open, and you know what? Why not with Shawn White? Just for fun, whatever. He just won his gold medal. Sexual harassment allegations aside, hey, let's talk about that really quick because, isn't it amazing how it all hit the fan? Like,
yeah.
Like after he wins the gold medal, we had talked so much about that. I was like, so interesting.
The whole thing, it was interesting from the previews and lead up to the Olympics to him winning the gold to afterwards. I mean, because we talked about it each week, like, because he was their focal point of their promotional tool for the network was Shawn White. And it just, I was blown away, with all the sexual harassment stuff and that's been going on the last 6 months, that they would focus on him.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that they didn't just do, like, head it off with a PR interview before the games and just been like, this is my one interview and my one final word, and we're good. And I think you need to do that. I understand that he settled it, but I think talking about it at the Olympics probably wasn't the best idea. On his own PR teams, I put that on their shoulders because I'm like, they should have known that this was going to come up. And I think had they just done a great, fabulous sit-down interview with Hoda Kotb, like, before the games, and he would have been like, and then if anyone referenced it during the games, you go, you know what? I said everything I needed to say in that interview, and out of respect for my fellow athletes and out of respect to the person who I settled with in regards to this, I already talked about what I learned and who I've become now and why I'm a better person. It's all in that interview. I don't know. Right. I still am perplexed by that, but I'm not his publicist, so.
Now, how about the did you see about, I'll tell you what, because one of the shows that I've really been like obsessed with lately is Shark Tank. And when I saw this news story, I got scared initially. I was like, oh no. And that was Mark Cuban, and it wasn't actually him, but the inner office of the Dallas Mavericks. There were some people in there that are now being accused of sexual harassment. He went through and like cleaned house, fired his person head of HR and all. And but when I first read the story, I was like, oh no, not another one.
Well, and I think, you know, when you are a leader, you have to know what's going on. Even if you're delegating and you're letting other people, you know, sort of run the show because you're running 16 other shows as someone who's a mogul like Mark Cuban, you really need to know what's going on in your businesses. And you really need to know what's happening with HR. And, you know, I think about this because I worked at a place for a couple years as an entertainment editor, and it was a women's site. I think I've talked about this before, but it was run primarily by men. It was a weird atmosphere in that they would make decisions that you'd be like, a bunch of women wouldn't have come to this conclusion, or maybe we would have put a female on the board. Like, there was all men on this women's health site board. Like, there was not one person of color. There was not one female. They would make decisions that in this day and age would be viewed a little misogynistic. All upper management except for one person was female. And I sit there and I think, I'm like, are people taking a look at what's happening in their business, even on a day-to-day? Like, are you understanding what's happening behind the scenes with HR? And I hope that this is a wake-up call for a lot of people who are very busy but have their name slapped on a lot of businesses to really understand what's going on and make people accountable. And I get that he's making people accountable now, but understand this is obviously going on a long time in his business.
Excuse me. Yeah, that was the one thing that, like, after reading the few articles about it, like, I was like, all right, yeah, he did the right thing, and he got rid of those people and all that. But it made me think to myself, like, he really didn't know what the hell's going on in his offices.
Yeah, he did not. And you know, I think he considers himself very progressive and very open to diversity in his office, including having females, people of the LGBT community, people of color. This doesn't make him look very progressive, you know what I mean? So, you know, it's frustrating, but hopefully he is now going to be more aware of this. And, you know, again, these are some of the things that we need to clean up in the Me Too era. And I hope that with someone like Mark Cuban or another business cleaning house like this, it makes for a better atmosphere for all of the younger generation stepping into the workforce. Like anyone who has a daughter that is going to be, you know, entering the workforce in the next 5-10 years, especially in an industry that is male-dominated, especially if they're working under any of Mark Cuban's sports ventures, or if you're someone whose daughter's stepping into automotive. Well, you know what I mean? I think of these certain tech is another area. Some of these areas that are still male-dominated, but women are rising up. You want to make it as good a place as possible for them.
Absolutely. So what did you think, I'm dying to know this one, of Fergie's national anthem?
Terrible. It was not the worst one. Some people were claiming it was the worst one ever. I really do think Roseanne's was probably the worst one ever. I think she wins because she was screeching. I think Fergie, anyone who has followed her career, she is a great performer. I don't think she's the strongest singer, and if you saw her Super Bowl with the Black Eyed Peas, you'll remember that. It wasn't the strongest vocals. And she took a risk probably to make herself sound better overall, but I think that the national anthem is something that it really is interpreted one particular way unless you're Whitney Houston, and you can do it your own way because you have the greatest vocals ever. But I think she was probably someone that just needed to lower the register, start in a lower key, and just stick with that, and she would have been fine. Forget the jazzy stuff.
Yeah, you know, it's a shame because, like, at times when I was, like, watching it, I'm thinking to myself, I want to hear her do a real version. Like, I want her just to do it. None of this other stuff. Don't try to be like a Marilyn Monroe or whatever she was trying to do. Like, it just, like, had me scratching my head.
Yeah, it really was a head scratcher. And, like, look, listen, I can't sing it all, so she sang it way better than I ever would. So I will say that. But I do think that she just didn't do it justice. And in this weird day and age of like, do you stand? Do you kneel? Oh, like, are you disrespecting the flag? Are you a patriot? Are you an American? Make America great again. Like, don't do anything off the page when it comes to the national anthem, honestly.
Right.
And so if someone was like to me, okay, let's just pretend I could carry a tune, and they were like, sing the national anthem. Well, I know that the high notes are going to get me, and it's not best for me to talk my way through the high notes. I would just start in a really low register, as low as I can go, so that I can hit those notes as best possible and just sing a straight rendition of it and call it a day. And I think that's, Whitney Houston doesn't exist anymore. So there's very few people. I wouldn't even put Mariah Carey in that class anymore because she really can't hit the notes that she used to.
Yeah, I just, because I don't know where I saw it, but I saw somebody had made the point, like, they rehearsed it like 4 or 5 times leading up to it through the week. And you would have thought like somebody would have said, maybe this isn't the right way to do it. Right.
No, I know. Everyone is hypersensitive about these things right now. And I just feel like this is not the artistic risk week. Nope. Just not. I mean, it's something. I feel like, with everything that happened last week in Parkland, like I feel like I have so much to, sometimes I'm just like, I don't feel like all of the NRA like adding me, you know what I mean? Like having something to say, because I voice my opinion. I'm just not interested in a Twitter fight. I feel like I want to support the younger generation and everyone speaking out because their voices are amazing and I'm so impressed. But other than that, I'm like, I'm going to just stay out of the debate. I think people that follow me know how I feel based on what I've been retweeting and some of the speeches that have impressed me. But other than that, I'm like, no one wants my political thoughts.
I'll tell you what, the whole thing, I think it was yesterday at the White House with some of the survivors and parents and all. That one father, I mean, the one kid they kept showing about how, how is it possible for, these kids to still go into a store today and buy an AR-15 after this. And then the one father, I mean, I think that's all that needs to be said. Like, I think them two, like, summed it all up. And I don't understand how people just can't get this stuff through their head.
I wish. And, I am someone, I've always said this, I'm an independent voter. I have voted Republican. I have voted Democratic. I have voted Libertarian. I've voted all over the map. This is going to make me an even more careful voter. And listen, I am someone that I understand in Hollywood, especially, celebrities get stalkers all the time. I understand the need to have a firearm in your house. And I'm talking about a handgun. I have not been able to wrap my brain around an assault rifle. I really can't. And anyone who's been in an emergency situation knows that you think you're going to react one way, and oftentimes you react another. Whether it's a fire, whether you've been in a medical emergency, whatever it is, sometimes you freeze up and didn't realize. And I think, like, do you have the wherewithal with an assault to get your assault rifle and take that gunman down who also has an assault rifle? Or I take a look at Parkland and the news released today that their armed security guard, their armed police officer hid for 4 minutes and let kids die. He did not shoot the shooter. So the argument of like arming teachers and just more guns, and I can't wrap my brain around that. So, but I don't want to take away people's right to bear arms in terms of protecting your family, protecting your business, and having a handgun. I get that. So we need to figure something else out. Mental health is also a part of this equation. Better security steps is a part of this equation. Listening to kids that were reporting this kid as a part of the equation, from school administrators to police officers, throwing this kid into the juvenile system because he probably needed it at some point. There's so many pieces to this pie, but we need to start taking these basic steps. And that's, that's where we're at.
Now, I was reading this story earlier, and I was actually really shocked by this. Lisa Marie Presley is in debt, and I was trying to wrap my head around that.
$16 million. She reminds me not only of Michael Jackson, so reminds me of Johnny Depp.
I don't understand how this happens.
I think, you know, her father, Elvis Presley, was in debt when he passed away too. I think it's like you have a responsibility to your money. I don't care how rich you are. You need to be on top of people who are your business managers. You need to have the best business manager you possibly can. You need to ask for monthly statements. If you need weekly statements, you get weekly statements. You need to know where they're investing your money, because it seems like these business managers, they're saying like, oh, I warned them. But I'm like, how are you really warning them until it's too late and they're $16 million in the hole? Michael Jackson was $500 million in the hole when he died. $500 million. And he had to die in order for his estate to make any money. Same with Elvis.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. When I see, like, you know, I guess it was, the manager, whoever it was, you know, he fired back saying, you know, she, you know, had a spending problem, and, you know, we tried to warn her. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what the hell are you buying that you're blowing through over $100 million? Like, I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And there's a disconnect. And I think, you know, I'm sure some celebrities, and this does happen, and I've done a lot of reporting on the Johnny Depp situation. There is a lot of, like, too many people are on the tab. Too many people are there to just say yes to him. And you need to have that business manager that's like, nope, you can't afford this car. Nope, you can't afford this house right now. Hold tight for 6 months because you've got this big movie and big check coming in. You need the no people in your life when you are a celebrity. Justin Bieber, while he wasn't blowing through his money, he was acting out because he had no one saying no to him when he was sort of like getting out of the teen years, moving into his early 20s, when he was like getting arrested and, you know, getting into a lot of trouble. You need those no people, and you need those no people that are willing to lose their job and lose that money, because those are the good people in your life, honestly.
Scary. And how about that? Like, Justin Bieber, like, you don't hear really nothing from him anymore unless it's just like little love stories of him and Selena.
Yeah, and, you know, that's, you know, and her mother is like, please, I hope she breaks up with him. She wants her daughter to stay far away from him because she thinks he brings nothing but trouble to her life. And, you know, especially with Selena, just had a kidney transplant, like, kind of has this new lease on life. Do you really want your daughter, who's now healthy, to be hanging around with her toxic ex-boyfriend? Not really, no. And, you know, it's that tough young love. I think they were each other's first real love, and you've got to – that can sometimes be hard to let go of, but you do hope that people grow out of it, but I don't think she has yet.
No, not at all.
Mm-mm. And she's going to have to reach her limit at some point. Like, I don't think they're going to run off and get married, but I think she needs to hit that brick wall. You can tell a person, like, you need to just get rid of them, don't do it, but people need to reach their own limit. You know, it's like an addict too. You also want someone needs to reach rock bottom before they're like, okay, rehab is good. Because if you send someone to rehab before they are ready, that doesn't work. I'm sure everyone has seen it at least one point in their life, whether it's a friend or a family member.
Sure. I have a couple more
crazy.
things. Chris Rock with this whole joke on his Netflix special about killing the white kids.
Oh, I haven't seen the special yet, so I don't know. I haven't seen it like with my own eyes and everything. But, you know, listen. Chris Rock has been someone who has never shied away from controversial jokes, and I don't think he's going to now. He always has liked to push buttons, and you know he's not going to engage the haters in this. He's just going to be like, I stand by my joke, and that's that.
Right. Yeah.
But I will watch his special once I get like a free 5 minutes. But I do think when it comes to someone like Chris Rock, and this is something that's interesting, and it's something, you know, I think we could talk about and have quite a debate about. A lot of comedy has become very politically correct. Chris Rock has been someone who has refused to sort of dumb down or, make his comedy PC. You look at someone like a Don Rickles, a Joan Rivers, Jackie Mason. Like, these people would never be able to start their careers now because they told all those sort of off-color jokes.
Yeah. It's funny because we went the other night to see a comedian, Roy Wood Jr., and he started going into a Blac joke, and he just stopped. He's like, I can already see the look on your faces, and I'm not even going there. And he just stopped.
Yeah, and it's like, it's hard because sometimes you don't know what you can laugh at anymore. You're like, am I supposed to laugh this? Is this funny? Is that someone else's expense? It's a really fine line we walk now. And imagine being like I think Jimmy Kimmel's fine because he's not very off-color, but imagine being Chris Rock this year and he's trying to host the Oscars. But you know what? The Academy would never even think to hire him right now in this climate.
Yeah, not at all.
Or if they did hire him, they would say, here's the rule book. These are all the jokes you can't do.
And that would not go over with him.
Right. It's not fun. As your comedian, you don't want to be told, like, these are the rules. I think Jimmy Kimmel, he knows his audience and he knows what's going to go over with the audience and what's going to go over with Hollywood and everything else. He's going to be fine. But an edgy comedian, Chris Rock, nope.
I'll tell you what, like I've only seen the clip of that. I haven't seen the whole special yet, but when he said it, it was one of them like, oh, like you cringed. I was just like, oh, he actually said that. He went there. Yeah.
So do we applaud him for taking the risk, or do we go, whoa, you stepped over the line? It's, I look at someone who I've loved her stand-up comedy. I've gone to see it in person, and I'm Kathy Griffin, but I do go, okay, the Trump head photo was definitely crossing the line.
Yeah.
And I'm no fan of Trump, but just, I don't know who was saying, yeah, this is a great idea. And I get that it was like satire, it was parody, and she's never going to recommend that anyone chop off Trump's head. No, but I don't want the president like shot or in office or anything. It's a horrible thing for our country to go through. But do I sit there and go, rock on, that was great and hilarious? I didn't laugh at that one. I was like, oh, So it is finding these odd, like, where are we pushing buttons? Where can we push buttons? What is funny? What isn't funny? What sounds racist these days? What sounds sexist? As a comedian, I don't envy them. I don't envy having to write jokes. That's tough.
It's funny because my guest coming up next is a comedian, so I'm gonna
ask that question because I think it's a great one. One show that I think gets the tone right, is Blackish, and I think that they get the issues that they need to talk about funny. They can make certain jokes funny, and you don't walk away going, God, I was so offended by that.
Right.
And those are some good writers. That means that they've got great writers, and they're bouncing ideas off of each other and saying, where do we cross the line? And, okay, how do we take that back just a step and then make it where people think it is funny?
Right. Oh, boy. Anything you had on your list?
No, I just was kind of like, the forefront was, the voice, because it was on my mind since I just walked off set. And then afterwards, after I walked off the voice set, I went to and interviewed one of the Disney Channel kids. There's a really great movie. If people have kids under 18, there's a fun movie musical called Zombies. It's great. And what I loved about it is that the writing is sharp and they didn't dumb it down for kids. Great message, super fun. Adults will like it. So if you've got Disney Channel, you've probably already watched it, but Zombies is kind of
awesome. Now I'm curious. A Disney musical of zombies. Are the kids zombies?
Yes. So it's basically West Side Story, where a town has these perfect kids that all dress in pink and life is perfect. And then the other half of the town is literally zombies because there was a nuclear plant meltdown. and they've been divided as a city for a really long time. And then they integrate the school. I mean, you can see where this is going. And so the zombies come to the perfect school, and everyone's like, and it's about how the kids come together and realize that it's great to be different, and it's great to learn from zombies, and it's fun to learn from like those perfect little blonde kids and everything else. But it's funny because the movie never set out to be very timely when it comes to like teaching kids about racial issues and being great role models. It kind of was just this fun zombie thing. And by the time it went into pre-production and then, of course, was developed in the Disney Channel, it became very timely for 2018. But it's done without being preachy. The dance moves and the songs are really sharp. Kids will like it. It's very contemporary. It's not hokey. And it's written really well. Adults won't feel like, oh, gosh, this down completely. It's kind of awesome. I was really surprised. And anyone who's watched High School Musical, you kind of watch that one. You're like, oh, okay, it's Disney. This one was really sharply written.
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a swift 90 minutes. I think people will really like it.
Cool. So what do you got coming up for the next week for yourself?
For Oscars week, nothing. Yeah. Oh, it's a crazy week. I've got there's a big gala honoring Derek Huff, so I've got all of my Dancing with the Stars stuff coming up, and Jenna Dewan Tatum's being honored as well. And on top of it, there's the Oscars. There's the Independent Spirit Awards. I have a visit to the set of Celebrity Family Feud. And I'm missing a couple other things. Yeah, it's a really busy week. Like I'm literally like every minute is programmed in my calendar, and I'm not going off schedule at all.
Holy cow! Who's who's going to be the celebrity families on the Family Feud?
And I am embargoed from telling you. So the second I can tell you, I will let you know. But it's definitely in my wheelhouse. There's several. They're shooting multiple shows. There's one specific one that I'm doing, and it's in my wheelhouse. So we'll just say that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
So stay tuned. I'll let you know as soon as I can. I have to find out those embargo dates. But I had to sign a couple of non-disclosure agreements on this. And when I eventually remind me when I talk about this NDA, because I had to sign the usual NDA based on like don't reveal the cast, blah, blah, blah. I had to sign a second NDA, and that relates directly to the show that I'm covering specifically of Celebrity Family Feud or the contestants, which is super interesting. So when I'm able to talk about that in maybe a few months, just try and remember. Like, what was that extra NDA?
Oh, that's wild.
Because it's wild. It's super wild. And I wish I could just say this is the second NDA, but it would reveal like who I am interviewing. So, but it's crazy. So I want to be able to share that with you guys when I can.
Oh, that's awesome. And here's one last question. Did she or didn't she, your opinion, did Blac Chyna leak the tape?
And I think she didn't. I think she is being railroaded by the Kardashians because I think that they want full custody of Dream. I truly believe that. And Blac Chyna, I think, thought, like, great, I can get into this family and make a ton of money and blah, blah, blah. And I think she's been manipulative in her own way, but she didn't realize the machine she was running up against, and that's Kris Jenner. I truly believe that.
And what a machine it is, right?
What a machine it is, and let me tell you, you won't win. You won't win against Kris Jenner and the powerful Kardashians. And I think that they will do whatever it takes to have Dream there 100% in their family.
How about the whole thing with Kylie and Snapchat, where she bad-mouthed Snapchat and like their stock dropped or something?
Their stock dropped by a significant amount. It shows you the power of the Kardashians. Like, I have Kardashian fatigue. I've had Kardashian fatigue for a very long time. But Kylie is the most popular Kardashian. She's a Jenner, of course, but she is the one that everyone, like, TMZ has talked about it. You know, Kim is not their most popular Kardashian. Anytime they do a Kylie story is when they get all the clicks. And listen, she makes herself almost even more valuable by acting more private when it came to the pregnancy and the birth and everything else. And, good for her. She did it her way, and I respect that. And look at that. I mean, she's got that much power. And also, a lot of people hated the new Snapchat redesign, so they better be thinking about this very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it even said in the article I was reading, like, between Instagram and Twitter, she's got like 128 million followers. That's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, and even if some of them are fake, there's plenty that are real when it comes to the Kylie Jenner empire. And listen, her lip kits, like, she's like a little makeup maven. Her lip kits sell out in a matter of hours. I have tried them. They are so drying and disgusting, but young women love them. So what do I know? I'm like, I want a big glossy finish, but these women like this total matte finish, which to me just makes me want to lick my lips and then they're chapped the rest of the day. But that Jenner look is something that's very, very popular.
Mind-blowing. The whole Jenner Kardashian world. Mind-blowing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm tired of them, but plenty of people aren't.
So, all right. So, well, hopefully we'll get to talk again next week and catch up some more. And
yes, I'm not sure 100% if I will be able to join you next week, but I will if I can.
Awesome. Cool. Well, Kristyn, as always, it's a pleasure. Love talking to you. And hopefully next week. Fingers crossed.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care. All right, there she goes, Kristyn Burtt. You can check her out all over the world of social media, see what she's up to. You can follow her on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, I think even Snapchat that we just talked about. Like her, love her, follow her. It's Kristyn Burtt. It's Kristyn Burtt. That's Kristyn Burtt. And we're going to take a quick commercial break and